Hello and welcome back. Today we will talk about the templating, especially in the context of Helm and Kustomize. Helm uses templating, Kustomize doesn't use templating. Is it good or bad? And I think one of the first video in this YouTube channel is about Helm, and especially why I don't like Helm at all. And one of the main reasons is that templating. But let's have a closer look. How does it look like? So this is a Helm chart, but actually it's not a full Helm chart. It's just something which uses the official Jaeger Helm chart. So all of the templates are in the dependency, which is already downloaded with the help of Helm, and you can see that I have all of the templates here. So Helm is based on templating. We have all of the values here, and they are used by the templates itself. There are two problems here. One is that even if I know what's supposed to be configured in a Kubernetes service or deployment, it's not clear that how should it be configured in this specific Helm chart, because it's Helm chart specific, right? The values agent service monitor interval, usually there is some convention, but who knows how it's supposed to be configured. And if I would like to use node port instead of load balancer, it can be configured in a different way in each Helm chart. The other problem is that I can modify only the parts which are prepared to be modified. For example, if I check the service, this is the agent service, and what I need here is a load balancer IP somewhere in the spec. So I think the type can be overridden. So if I change the agent service type in the values YAML, then I can change this one. But I couldn't add a load balancer IP here because there is no such option. So templating is very limiting. So I couldn't modify anything, and what I can modify, I should learn it for each template because it can be different or can be similar or slightly different. So it's very painful for me, and I don't think that this approach is the best for managing resources in different Kubernetes resources for different environments. So there is an other approach which is Kustomize. So with Kustomize, it's slightly different approach because for Kustomize, I can have base Kubernetes YAML files without any magic. I like it because it's very clear. It's the common language what we have, right? The Kubernetes YAML files. But unfortunately, I need to update them. For example, this is a definition of a nightly build, or an example definition of the storage distributed storage. And actually, from this storage node, I need multiple instances. In a real world cluster, there should be hundreds of storage nodes or thousands of storage nodes. Here, 10 should be enough for me. But unfortunately, even for the 10, it's slightly problematic. So if I go to the nightly core, this is where I have the customization YAML file, and it tries to use multiple storage nodes, but it's not very easy. So first of all, what I need to do is modify the definition in a way. So if I go to the storage node 01, this is how I modified it. So this is the pointer to the original storage node, and I'm just using a name suffix. I'm also generating some identity for this specific thing. That's fine, and I should modify the port, right? It's for each of the storage nodes I need a different port, so I'm just using the index to use, and I also need to modify the labels and some of the configurations to use a port with an IP address. That's another problem, and so on. So, and here I couldn't use template, right? Because Kustomize said that the templating is bad. We are not using templating. The only thing what I can do is just somehow reuse these transformations. But it doesn't really help because I need to search and replace all of the 01. So I can modify even this file, but just to modify it, still I'm in the same still it's the same problem, right? I need to modify all the numbers here. It would be so easy if I would use some templating. And actually, this is what I use because I didn't find any better option with Kustomize. But let me know if you know something. That I just created a simple script which generates the identities and replaces the numbers to something else. That's all. This is the this is the parameter of the script and the good old set. Actually, the customize is we can extend customize with shell scripts, so it would be possible to create shell script for each of the directories and use them, which is actually almost the same. And after that, before the deployment, I'm just regenerating all of the dependencies. At the end of the day, I have exactly the same problem with IP addresses. It's used in multiple locations, but just create a transformation manually for all of this, it's not very convenient. So I think it's a very good approach that we don't use templating, just modifying anything, and it's very clear what we modified and what will be the final rendered output. But sometimes I feel that we need templating. So I have a third approach, and a few years ago I created a tool called Flekszible, which is very similar to the Kustomize, just with some kind of different philosophy. And one of the main goals was just to provide reusable transformations. So by default, the Flekszible, it's very similar to Kustomize, that we just use resources from somewhere. And after that, I apply some kind of transformations. There are simple transformations like add a new key value to a YAML file, remove, or change something. But I can also create transformations from existing ones, and these are reusable. So I can provide a transformation together with YAML files, and you can decide if you need it or not. And for example, this one changes the domain name and the IP addresses. You can see that we need to change the spec temple spec container satellite if it exists. And this is an environment variable. And what we do is just changing it with a domain, which is a parameter from here. I have two parameters, the IP and the string. And there are a lot of other transformations. And the tricky part here is that here I have templating, but only here. So when I create the transformations, then I can use templating. This part from here, this will be rendered first, and after that it will be applied. So I'm using templating to create a transformation, but after that it's a declarative transformation. So for example, I couldn't use templating in any of the any of the resource files, but I can use templating in the transformation. So for example, this access is usable because I had that definition with the two parameters. I have the two parameters. That definition will be rendered. It's very clear because it's way more easier to follow. It's only just a few parameters or maybe a condition, nothing else. But this directory includes all of the resource files without any kind of templating. So my opinion is that Helm is very hard to use, or the user experience. I don't like the user experience of the Helm, and templating is one of the main reason. But it doesn't mean that the templating is bad. I think it's like the salt. If it's too much salt in the soup, that's bad. But we need a small amount of salt to make life easier. Because without salt, it's like the customize if we remove all of the templating. So that's all for now, and we will continue from here next time.